Hello, this is Schizofenik, and with the recent release of Dan Trachtenberg's Prey, I thought that now would be as good a time as any to rank my personal top 5 films of the Yautja Predator. Before I begin, I should explain that as well as considering the 5 standalone Predator films, I will also consider the 2 AVP movies and even some great fan-made films. Also, please be aware that this video is not about the best Predators, but about the best Predator films. A movie may have an awesome Yautja, but that does not necessarily make it a good film. I will consider the good, the bad, and the damn right ugly before deciding on which films make the cut. With everything clarified, I will start with some honourable mentions. Firstly, we have 2015's fan-made Predator Dark Ages, clearly a labour of love from Predator fans to other Predator fans. Set in medieval times, this film sees the Predator go up against a group of Knights Templar and is a very worthy effort that is certainly worth a watch. Just ahead of that, I have another fan-made film in Batman Dead End. Yes, this is a Batman short film that packs some serious punch in the space of 8 minutes. Writer and director Sandy Colora did a fantastic job in this crossover, and I love the depiction of Batman, who took inspiration from Alex Ross's design. However, for Predator fans, this film introduced us to awesome individuals like Big Red and Wasp, which was a real bonus. My next honourable mention is only here for one reason: the Predator known as Wolf. 2007's AVPR is a classic example of a bad film with a great Predator. Directed by the brothers Strauss, this story tells the events of a Yautja cleanup mission on Earth immediately after the events of 2004's AVP. The opening of this film filled me with such high hopes as we witnessed the birth of the Predalien on a Yautja vessel. The introduction to Wolf on Yautja Prime is still to this day one of my favourite scenes in a Predator movie. The way the audience is given clues to this individual's high ranking, from the weapons it selects to the runes on its biomask, is a classic example of showing but not telling the audience. Also, this presentation of Yautja Prime as this scalding red-hot and yellow Aztecian planet that perfectly matched the design language of the ship interior in Predator 2, absolutely awesome. Throughout the film, this lone wolf is presented as a formidable hunter that makes light work of the aliens its predecessors struggled with in AVP. Wolf's design was also fantastic, and unlike so many other Predators, its subtle differences did not make it look like a strange subspecies of Yautja. Furthermore, the performance of Ian White as the Predator was the best since Kevin Peter Hall. Aside from Wolf, the Predalien was okay, but that was really it. The human characters were completely pointless, and nobody knew who to root for, as the Yautja was the film's true hero. However, the biggest issue with this film was the lighting. It was so dark that you often could not tell what you were looking at, as the action became confused. Often dark lighting is used by filmmakers to mask poor special effects, which is another bad sign. Ultimately, I love Wolf, but I do not like AVPR. It only gets an honourable mention, or 6th place. At number 5, I have gone for P.W.S. Anderson's AVP, which was released in 2004. I waited 14 years for this movie and was left utterly disappointed. AVP is in my opinion the exact opposite of AVPR, an okay film with really awful Predators. AVP's isolated Antarctic whaling station gave the movie an incredibly eerie feel. I really like the backdrop of the pyramids and the backstory of how the Predators had been coming to Earth since ancient Egyptian times to test themselves on initiation hunts. This film had so much potential but was poorly executed. Although I enjoyed the final battle with Scar and Lex against the alien Queen, there was so much that I could not forgive. I hated how weak the Predators looked as Celtic and Chopper were dispatched so easily by the Xenomorphs. I could not stand how the Predators marched like muscular soldiers instead of moving like graceful hunters. Ultimately, this film is a really poor version of the comic and my favourite Predator novel in S.D. Perry's Prey. It only barely makes it onto my list in 5th place, and maybe this film should have had darker lighting as well. In 4th place, I have gone for 2010's Predators. This film reversed the idea of Yautja coming to Earth to hunt man, and instead had them abduct their prey in order to hunt them on a game-preserved planet. I thought that this was a really cool idea, but wish that they had made the planet look more alien. In my opinion, they missed a chance by making it look too similar to Earth, which was a real shame. I really like the concept of how the Yautja gathered the deadliest people across the globe for their hunt, which had promise. My personal favourite scene from this film was the truly terrifying help me moment with Cuchillo, which made it onto my top 5 most horrifying moments in the Predator franchise video. I will provide a link to that one here if you wish to watch it. However, I also had some issues with this film, which included the Super Predator design. The film introduced us to a so-called larger subspecies of Yautja that were really not much bigger at all. I thought that they could have been a little more creative in the design here, perhaps giving them more menacing mandibles, making them more muscular, and perhaps taller at around 9 feet. If you are going to call them super, then make them look super. Unfortunately, in addition to not having a very super appearance, these predators were also not very super in ability, as all 3 were killed in unceremonious fashion by the human characters. Yet again, we had another film that made the galaxy's greatest hunters look incredibly weak. What a shame. In third place, I have decided upon the most recent Yautja movie in 2022's Prey. I was conflicted as whether or not to put Predators ahead of this film, and perhaps I have recency bias here, so I may swap these films around in future should I change my mind. However, as it stands, Prey is at number 3 because I really enjoyed the magnificent North American setting of the film, which was beautifully framed with a marvellous cinematography. The film had a great story, which drew parallels between 2 hunters that were slowly moving their way up the food chain, culminating in a final showdown against each other. The action sequences were well choreographed and brutally graphic, which was typical of the franchise. The Yautja design was interesting too. Its general aesthetic, including the costume design and weapon choices, perfectly suited the film's backdrop. Unlike the super predators from Predators, this Yautja actually did look super with its immense size and muscularity. I did however have some issues with its facial features, particularly its eyes, which made it look a little dorky. Yet again, there were elements of this film that I really disliked, and I have gone through these in my previous review video. My main points of contention were the poor CGI on some of the animals, which looked or moved nothing like the creatures they were representing. I also found Naru's development from rookie to master hunter to be incredibly rushed. However, my biggest issue was how she took the Predator on so competently in hand-to-hand combat. That for me was very unrealistic. Now I know that it is strange to talk about realism when you have an alien hunter visiting Earth, but in the world this film created, that is exactly what happens, and if you want me to believe that this alien can kill a bear with 1 punch, then I cannot also believe that a small person can fight this being mano a mano. Sorry, but the 2 things cannot exist at the same time. As a result, this is a good Predator film, but not a great Predator film. In my opinion, if you want to watch a great Predator film, you will need to take a look at my second and first place entries. At number 2, I have gone for the second film in the franchise. Predator 2 was the heavily anticipated sequel that was initially met with a lot of negativity. As a movie, it was slammed by the film critics, however as a Predator film, us fans loved it. It is rumoured that Schwarzenegger turned the film down as he did not believe that a Predator movie would work in an urban setting, however he was later proved wrong. The Los Angeles setting was one of the film's highlights, and this city from the not too distant future had a timeless feel with its Art Deco aesthetic and cleverly selected locations and buildings in each frame. Its characters possess customised modern weapons with more classic costumes for the police officers. Glover as Lieutenant Mike Harrigan was fantastic as this hardened LA cop. Framed against the film noir style setting in his classic attire, he gave the impression of a hard-boiled detective from the 1940s. He was also supported by a great team of cops, with his loyal partner Danny, the strong female in Leona, and the late great Bill Paxton's Jerry, who brought us the much-needed comic relief. Kevin Peter Hall would reprise his role as the Predator, however this time the creature had a more angular bronze appearance that suited the concrete jungle setting it was hunting in. The Yautja, known as the City Hunter, also introduced fans to an array of awesome new weapons, including the Combi Stick and Smart Disc. Most notably, however, this film is loved by us Predator fans because it subtly expanded on the Yautja universe without giving too much away. I love the spaceship interior at the film's finale, and of course, how can we ever forget this iconic moment that referred to the Alien films connecting the two franchises? I cannot explain how significant this moment was in 1990 because unlike today, separate franchises seldom referred to each other. Moreover, Predator 2 continued with the gory horror that was introduced in the first film with the death of Peter Keyes, fantastically depicted by Gary Busey. Other moments of genuine horror included the death of King Willie and that epic subway scene that terrified many. Finally, the introduction of the Lost Tribe was truly epic, as more than one predator was revealed, showing us that these hunters belonged to clans and complex hierarchical structures. Again, when Harrigan was awarded his trophy, the flintlock pistol for killing the city hunter, it hinted to audiences that these creatures had been hunting on Earth since at least 1715. What a way to show and not tell the audience more about these beings. This film is so underrated in my opinion. So what did I not like about Predator 2? Well, not much, but perhaps the city hunter died too easily at the end. However, I can make my peace with it as it had already been shot 6 times, was using a breather, and had lost its arm. This defeat, however, was still considered a failure, and Greyback actually decapitated him in the novelization. Overall, a great film and certainly deserves its spot in second place. So what have I selected as my number 1 choice? Well, this one might surprise you. I have actually chosen 2018's The Predator by Shane Black.
Never were that smart.
No, of course not. How could I choose anything other than the original? Obviously, I have gone for 1987's classic Predator for my number 1 choice.
Some damn fool accused you of being the best.
Now, the big reason for this film's box office success, and the reason why so many people, including myself, watched it, was because of Arnold Schwarzenegger. A lot of younger audiences may not understand just how popular the next Arnie movie was in the 1980s. He was literally Hollywood's biggest action star, and by 87, he was at the peak of his powers. Predator in typical fashion delivered as an action film, as Arnie and his rescue team would take out the guerrilla soldiers, as Alan Silvestri's awesome score added to the intensity. The film was also full of Arnie's classic one-liners that audiences had come to expect. However, some of the dialogue from Predator have become real-life quotable cliches. For instance, if you have not seen someone in a long time, you might say, "It's been a long time, General." And if someone says something stupid, you might reply with "You never were that smart." Ultimately, Predator proved to be so much more than an Arnie action movie. We were all pleasantly surprised to learn that the film was creating another icon, in the form of its screen villain. About a third of the way into this movie, we learnt of a marvellous twist that shifted the genre from action to action horror, something Arnold was not really known for. In addition to the film's hero, we had a star-studded cast with the who's who of 80s action heroes, each equipped with their own iconic weapon, making this elite team of guys seem invincible. However, something was watching this group, and as a child I would get a chill every time the camera cut to the entity's perspective, as we would hear that unearthly sound effect that seemed like the creature was looking through your very soul. The jungle setting only augmented the horror, as it created this inescapable labyrinth where everything looked the same. I shared in the protagonist's anxiety as they looked into the trees with dread as the monster mercilessly picked these soldiers off one by one like a silent assassin. Just 1 hour into the movie, and Dutch's entire rescue team were not only dead, but killed in the most gruesome fashion. The gore factor was off the scale, as this alien creature annihilated this team and made my otherwise invincible childhood hero look weak. We were given clues and short glimpses as to what this alien assassin was, and with its biomask and reptilian skin, I initially thought that it was an alien cyborg. Revealing the monster in a horror film can often be a huge mistake, as the revelation can often disappoint audiences if the creature looks unrealistic or not as scary as we might have imagined. Luckily, the revelation of the Predator did not disappoint, as this very original design by Stan Winston was both terrifying and awesome at the same time. Kevin Peter Hall's masterful performance only added to the creature's alien appearance with his graceful movements. No other actor playing the Predator has managed to match his actions, and as a result, I struggle to believe that the later sequels after Predator 2 are depicting the same species of creature. The final showdown was epic too, as an uncharacteristically outgunned Schwarzenegger would have to rely on his ingenuity to defeat the beast. After taking a severe beating, Dutch would try to lure the creature into his trap, but when the alien suspects his trick and approaches from the other side, he is truly doomed until he realises the creature's position would see it crushed by the counterweight, thus kicks his trap into action. Even Hollywood's strongest action hero could not fight this beast one-on-one and barely escape with his life after getting lucky. Now that is how you end a Yautja movie. So, what did I dislike about this movie? Nothing. It's awesome. It still stands up well today, and I won't hear otherwise. Predator is my #1 movie with a Yautja. I hope that you enjoyed the countdown, but please remember that this is just my personal ranking and not a definitive list based on votes, etc. Please feel free to use the comment section to rank the films in your preferred order and even state why if you wish. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you will be back for more Predator-related content on this channel soon. Take care.